4 years ago, the KF-21 had its maiden flight. Now the first production model has been rolled out, about 10 years after the program's launch. Now this is a significant achievement for South Korea, which has gone from a blank slate idea to a fully operational production aircraft in such a short period. Despite the ambitious concept, smart production strategies have enabled Koreans to quickly procure what is becoming a more modern counterpart to fighters like the Rafale or the Typhoon.
Since we first discussed the Boromé concept several years ago, doubts existed about whether the project could be successfully completed. Surpassing expectations, the Koreans have proved that ambitious projects like the KF-21 are not only feasible, but also achievable within a tight time frame with a clever approach. How they achieved this as a smaller nation is not only impressive, but for us in Australia, it also serves as an important case study and source of inspiration. As we covered in our original video on the KF-21, the Boromé project officially started in 2016. Intended as a local replacement for older multi-role fighters, the procurement was fast-tracked, with the first prototype rolled out in 2021 and the maiden flight in 2022. Since then, 6 prototypes have flown, in both single and twin-seat configurations. How they achieved this within such a time frame came down to a series of clever initial decisions made to balance cost and performance. The first we'll examine is the design itself. From the outset, the manufacturer, Korean Aerospace Industries, had to find solutions to several issues that plague manufacturing. Among them are managing scope, infrastructure costs, and production time. The solution on the design front was to adopt a modular approach. Using an iterative design process, designers would develop a realistic set of goals for an initial production fighter. Then, an upgrade pathway would be outlined, with more ambitious yet achievable requirements, taking what was initially a 4.5-generation aircraft and working towards 5th-generation standards. With long-term goals mapped out, designers would then revisit the initial design and modify it for potential future upgrades. In other words, it would be intentionally designed with iterative upgrades in mind, allowing space for such upgrades in the initial model, which could be fitted with the necessary technology later. This approach would cost more upfront, but over time, it would enable the reuse of the expensive custom-machined infrastructure for later variants of the jet, potentially reducing costs or at least significantly accelerating production. This plan was put into action, resulting in an iterative design that deliberately accounts for both minor and major upgrade programs. Broadly, the core design would be developed in 3 successive variants. The Block 1, a 4.5-generation fighter, and the model we recently saw rolled out. The Block 2 would follow, still using external weapons but adding improved multi-role capabilities, including electronic warfare, drone command, and so on. The project would culminate with the Block 3, which aims to bring the KF-21 up to true 5th-generation standards, featuring enhanced stealth and an internal weapons bay. Since all of this would stem from the same basic design, the initial models would need to incorporate these features from the start, including space for internal weapons bays, innate stealth shaping and capabilities, and systems networking architecture. From the Block 1 onwards, these features would be either built in or designed to be integrated later. Using this approach, the Boromé team was given the green light. It is through this process that the aircraft, as we see it today, has come into being. This iterative process has established a clear roadmap, which in turn accelerates production time and ultimately reduces project costs. South Korea's relatively quick development cycle of about 7 years, supported by less initial complexity compared to full 5th-gen programs like the F-35 and the Su-57, demonstrates the country's ingenuity. A major advantage we've observed with this project is controlling requirement creep. Focusing on meeting the set requirements for each iteration speeds up development, reduces costs, and to some extent limits requirement creep by shortening the gap between conceptualization and production.
The second part of this process was sourcing parts. Instead of attempting to build everything domestically, the team chose a dual approach. Critical components would be manufactured as much as possible in Korea, whilst other overly complex systems like engines or readily available components would be brought from suppliers or partners abroad.
Through this dual-path approach, South Korea can protect itself against trade disruptions or weapon restrictions on critical systems, as most will be either produced domestically or through partnerships. Similarly, a balanced strategy for less critical parts keeps the project budget manageable. Overall, this approach to component procurement offers many benefits for a middle power or smaller nation. First, it allows sensitive parts or software to be produced locally, helping establish domestic industry that can be expanded in the future. Second, it hands over complex high-risk systems, like engines, to manufacturers who are better equipped to handle them, reducing R&D costs and speeding up development. Third, it fosters partnerships between allied nations, which both lowers costs and serves as a valuable political tool. What the Boromai aims for is similar to the Rafale, with multi-use capabilities beyond just air and ground roles, including SEAD, anti-ship, recon, drone control, and electronic warfare. At the rollout ceremony, promotional material suggested that aircraft in upcoming blocks will be modified to serve various specialized roles. A trailer released at the time of the ceremony hints at a collaborative combat system that uses combat drones and similar intelligent drones as decoys. In other words, a future-proofed all-round platform. As such, we believe it resembles the Super Hornet and could, in its twin-seat version, potentially be adapted into something like the Growler to offer specific electronic warfare capabilities. Its internal middleware uses an open mission systems approach, making patching and updates significantly easier and simplifying networking between new onboard hardware, other aircraft, and assets. Although less secure than the closed-loop architecture found in fighters like the F-35, this feature highlights its flexibility and capability to upgrade on a budget. What's more, it is well positioned as a platform. The decision to operate it as an intermediary aircraft, rather than a direct competitor to existing frontline fighters, appears to be a smart move, both politically and in terms of export potential. As a mid-tier fighter, it lowers the comparison standard and consequently increases the likelihood of foreign sales, as seen with the widely purchased Su-30 compared to the Su-57 or J-20. Essentially, the South Koreans seem to be on a path to develop something similar to what Sweden has accomplished with Saab, a modest yet capable domestic industry that leverages its strengths using external help and outsourcing where necessary. While this is not a flawless approach, it balances important factors like time, budget, and geopolitical stance. Turkey, for example, aims to develop a domestic industry similar to France's, reducing reliance on foreign supply chains, but this comes at the cost of additional time and budget. The South Korean approach is something closer to what we might try in Australia. The South Koreans are in a different position to us in many ways, under more direct threat, with different geographic and topographic landscapes, a different military posture, a larger economy and population, and so on. Yet we share many similarities. Our broader goals are aligned, and our military strategies overlap on maritime focus, offensive area denial, and more. Put simply, if we were to try something similar, the South Korean approach is probably a safe bet. A modular dual-path design with clear goals and tight management of requirement drift. It would require a larger upfront investment than buying off the shelf, but if done right, the long-term shift to self-sufficiency would be beneficial. And as we're experiencing with global supply chains, the sooner we renationalize critical industries, the better.
If all goes well during this first production phase, there's no reason why the KF-21 can't be a great success. Do we need something similar in Australia? Probably not right now, but in the long run, we might. The time may come when we need something like the KF-21 ourselves, and if we're willing to take bold risks, we could build something impressive.